We live in a world that constantly tells us we are not enough, not rich enough, not successful enough, not famous enough. Every day we scroll past highlight reels that make our simple lives feel small, and slowly, without realizing it, we start believing that beauty lives somewhere in the future after we achieve more, earn more, or become someone else. But here is the truth no one talks about. A beautiful life is built from ordinary moments. It's in waking up to the same routine and still choosing gratitude. It's in a quiet cup of tea, a shared meal, a simple conversation that makes you feel understood. It's in doing your responsibilities, even when no one is watching or applauding. Extraordinary moments are rare. That's why they're called extraordinary. But ordinary moments, they happen every day. And when you start noticing them, life changes. A beautiful life is not about constant happiness. It's about meaning. It's about showing up on hard days. And calm days are like. It's about loving people in simple ways, listening, forgiving, being present. Think about the moments that truly touch your heart. They're rarely about money or fame. They're about laughter in the kitchen, quiet prayers, shared struggles, and small acts of kindness. When you stop chasing a perfect life and start appreciating a real one, peace enters your heart. You stop comparing, you stop rushing, you start living. The secret isn't doing more. The secret is seeing more in what you already have. So don't underestimate your ordinary life, because one day you'll realize it was never ordinary at all. It was beautiful. A beautiful life is not created in one grand moment. It is quietly built in thousands of small, everyday experiences that we often overlook. We wait for special days to feel happy, when we achieve something big, when life becomes easier, or when everything finally falls into place. But while we are waiting, life is already happening in the simplest ways. Beauty lives in those moments, not in the distant future. We keep chasing. Small moments shape our emotional world. The way sunlight enters your room in the morning, the comfort of familiar routines, a few peaceful minutes with yourself, or a kind word exchange without any reason. These moments seem insignificant, yet they form the foundation of a meaningful life. When we ignore them, life feels empty. When we notice them, life feels full. Everyday moments teach us presence. They remind us to slow down and actually live instead of rushing from one goal to another. Life is not meant to be a constant race toward achievement. It is meant to be experienced. The simple act of being present, listening fully, eating mindfully, breathing calmly adds depth to even the most ordinary day. These small moments also create emotional security. Big events come and go, but daily habits and simple joys bring stability. A beautiful life is not one without problems. It is one where small comforts help us cope with challenges. When life becomes overwhelming, it is often the ordinary things that heal us. Familiar faces, quiet evenings, simple prayers, or moments of reflection. We often underestimate these moments because they don't look impressive to others. They don't get applause or recognition, but their value is deeply personal. Over time, they shape our memories, our character, and our sense of peace. When we look back, it is rarely the big achievements that warm our hearts. It is the everyday love, effort, and consistency that truly mattered. A beautiful life begins when we stop waiting for something extraordinary and start honoring what already exists. When we learn to see beauty in the ordinary, life feels richer, calmer, and more meaningful. In the end, it is not the size of moments that matters, but the attention we give to them. Ordinary routines may seem boring or repetitive, but they are one of the strongest foundations of a peaceful life. In a world that constantly pushes us to seek excitement and change, routines quietly offer something far more valuable: stability. They create a sense of order when life feels uncertain and give our minds a place to rest. Daily routines reduce stress because they remove unnecessary decision-making. When you know what your day looks like, even in simple ways, your mind feels calmer, waking up at a similar time, following familiar habits, and having predictable moments of rest allow your body and emotions to feel safe. This sense of safety is essential for inner peace. Ordinary routines also build emotional strength. Life will always bring unexpected challenges, but routines act like anchors during difficult times, when everything feels out of control. Sticking to small habits like preparing a meal, tidying your space, or taking a quiet walk can restore balance. These simple actions remind us that not everything is falling apart, even when life feels heavy. Consistency in routine teaches patience and discipline. A peaceful life is not built through sudden changes but through steady effort. When you follow simple routines, you learn to trust the process of growth. You stop rushing and start accepting that progress happens slowly. This acceptance itself brings calmness and clarity. Routines also support mental and emotional well-being. They create moments of pause where reflection becomes possible. Simple practices like morning silence, evening gratitude, or regular family time help us reconnect with ourselves and others. These repeated moments slowly shape a life that feels grounded rather than chaotic. Many people chase excitement, believing it will bring happiness. But constant stimulation often leads to exhaustion. Ordinary routines do the opposite. They conserve emotional energy and create space for contentment. Within these routines, joy doesn't disappear, it becomes gentle, steady, and lasting. A stable life is not a dull life, it is a balanced one. Ordinary routines may not feel exciting, but they quietly protect our peace. Over time, they create a life that feels secure, centered, and emotionally rich. True beauty often lives in repetition, because repetition is where peace learns to stay. Comparison is one of the quietest thieves of happiness. It enters our minds without permission and slowly convinces us that what we have is not enough. We begin measuring our lives against others, their success, their lifestyle, their confidence, forgetting that we are only seeing fragments, not the full reality. In doing so, we lose sight of our own journey. Every person's life unfolds at a different pace, different struggles, different starting points, different responsibilities. When we compare, we ignore these differences and judge ourselves unfairly. We pressure ourselves to meet standards that were never meant for us. This creates frustration, self-doubt, and unnecessary sadness, even when our lives are already meaningful. Comparison also shifts our focus outward instead of inward. Instead of asking, "Am I growing?" we ask, "Am I ahead of them?" Instead of appreciating our progress, we feel behind. Happiness cannot survive in this mindset because it depends on constant validation. No matter how much we achieve, someone else will always seem to have more. Social media intensifies this problem. We scroll through carefully selected moments, success, smiles, celebrations, and assume that others live perfect lives. What we don't see are their struggles, fears, and quiet battles. Comparing your behind the scenes to someone else's highlight reel is never fair, yet many of us do it daily. When comparison takes over, gratitude disappears. We stop noticing what is going right in our lives because our attention is fixed on what we lack. Peace fades and contentment feels out of reach. Even achievements lose their joy because they are no longer enough on their own. They must be better than someone else's to feel valuable. Freedom begins when we choose to step out of comparison. When we accept that our path is unique, we reclaim our happiness. Growth becomes personal, not competitive. Success becomes meaningful, not performative. We start measuring our lives by inner peace, not external approval. True happiness grows when we focus on progress, not position, when we appreciate who we are becoming instead of who we are trying to outperform. A beautiful life is not about being better than others. It is about being at peace with yourself. When comparison ends, joy has space to return. You stop chasing lives that aren't yours and begin nurturing the one you already have. And in that moment, happiness feels real, calm, and deeply personal. Achievements can bring excitement, recognition, and temporary satisfaction, but they are not what give life its deepest meaning. Titles fade, applause ends, and success eventually becomes routine. What remains long after achievements lose their shine are the relationships we build and the connections we nurture. A truly meaningful life is rooted in people, not accomplishments. From the beginning, human beings are wired for connection. We find purpose in being seen, heard, and understood. A conversation that makes you feel valued, a presence that brings comfort, or a bond that offers support during hard times. These moments shape our emotional world far more than any trophy or milestone ever could. Achievements often focus on the self, but relationships teach us empathy. They require patience, compromise, forgiveness, and care. Through relationships, we grow emotionally. We learn how to love beyond convenience and how to show up even when it's difficult. These lessons form our character and define who we become. When life becomes challenging, achievements rarely provide comfort. In moments of loss, fear, or uncertainty, it is people who matter. A supportive friend, a caring family member, or even one person who believes in you can restore strength when everything else feels heavy. Relationships turn survival into hope. Modern life often encourages us to prioritize success over connection. We are taught to chase goals, climb ladders, and prove our worth through productivity. In this pursuit, relationships are sometimes neglected. But no achievement feels fulfilling when it is not shared. Joy multiplies when experienced with others, and sorrow becomes lighter when carried together. Relationships also give everyday life meaning. Simple interactions, sharing meals, listening without distraction, offering kindness create a sense of belonging. These moments may not be celebrated publicly, but they build a life that feels rich and complete. At the end of life, people rarely measure their happiness by how much they achieved. They reflect on who stood by them, who they loved, and who loved them back. Meaning is found in those connections, the memories, the shared struggles, and the quiet understanding that comes from genuine relationships. A beautiful life is not defined by how high you rise, but by how deeply you connect. When achievements are balanced with relationships, success feels human. But when relationships come first, life feels meaningful. Gratitude has the quiet power to transform how we experience life. It does not change our circumstances, but it changes our perspective, and that change makes all the difference. An ordinary life, when seen through grateful eyes, becomes rich, meaningful, and deeply beautiful. Without gratitude, even the best life can feel empty. With gratitude, even a simple life feels enough. Many people believe happiness comes from having more money, more comfort, more success. But gratitude teaches us a different truth. Happiness comes from recognizing what is already present. When we constantly focus on what is missing, life feels like a never-ending struggle. When we focus on what we have, life feels generous. Gratitude slows us down. It pulls our attention away from future worries and past regrets and brings us back to the present moment. A grateful heart notices small blessings: a safe home, a warm meal, a kind message, a peaceful moment. These things may seem ordinary, but they are not guaranteed. Gratitude reminds us that what feels routine today was once something we hoped for. Practicing gratitude also strengthens emotional resilience. Life is not free from pain, loss, or disappointment, but gratitude helps us cope without becoming bitter. It allows us to hold both hardship and hope at the same time, even in difficult seasons. Gratitude helps us see that not everything is broken and not all is lost. Gratitude improves relationships as well. When we appreciate people instead of taking them for granted, our connections grow stronger. Saying thank you, noticing effort, and valuing presence create warmth and trust. A grateful person spreads calm and positivity without trying to impress anyone. One of the most powerful aspects of gratitude is that it requires nothing new. You don't need to change your life to practice it, you only need to change how you look at it. The same house, the same routine, the same people can suddenly feel more precious when viewed with appreciation. Over time, gratitude reshapes the heart. It reduces envy, softens anger, and quiets dissatisfaction. It teaches contentment without stopping growth. You can still dream, still improve, still move forward while appreciating where you are. A beautiful life is not about perfection or abundance, it is about awareness. When gratitude becomes a habit, ordinary days begin to shine. Life feels calmer, fuller, and kinder in the end. Gratitude doesn't just add beauty to life, it reveals the beauty that was already there.